Telemundo is an American Spanish-language terrestrial television network owned by Comcast through the NBCUniversal Television Group division, Telemundo Enterprises. It is the running-up provider of Spanish content worldwide behind American competitor Univision, with programming syndicated worldwide to more than 100 countries in over 35 languages. The channel broadcasts programs and original content aimed at Hispanic and Latino American audiences in the United States and worldwide, consisting of telenovelas, sports, reality television, news programming, and films, either imported or Spanish-dubbed. In addition, Telemundo operates NBCUniversal, a separate channel directed towards young Hispanic audiences, Telemundo Digital Media, which distributes original programming content across mass media. The Telemundo and NBCUniversal websites, Puerto Rico telestation WKAQ-TV, and international distribution arm Telemundo International. Telemundo is headquartered in the Miami suburb of Hialeah, Florida, and has 1,900 employees worldwide. The majority of Telemundo's programs are filmed at an operated studio facility in Miami, where 85% of the network's telenovelas were filmed during 2011. The average hourly primetime drama costs $70,000 to produce. History. WKAQ-TV. The Telemundo brand traces back to the sign-on of WKAQ-TV in San Juan, Puerto Rico on March 28, 1954, which was founded by Angel Ramos, owner of Puerto Rico's main newspaper at the time, El Mundo, and the U.S. territory's first radio station, WKAQ. Ramos wanted to maintain a consistent branding for his media properties based around the Mundo theme, and chose to brand his new television property as Telemundo. Ramos had tried to obtain a television station license as early as the mid-1940s, however, because of a freeze imposed by the Federal Communications Commission that suspended the filing and approval of broadcast license applications for new television stations in the United States and its territories due to World War II. He had to wait until 1954 to obtain the license. In its early years, Ramos maintained continuity between his radio and television stations by signing an exclusive deal with the most well-known and influential actor, comedian, producer in Puerto Rico, Ramon Rivero, better known as Diplo, whose comedy show El Tremendo Hotel, which was broadcast on WKAQ radio, was the most popular radio program in Puerto Rican broadcasting history. Rivero produced the first comedy variety series for WKAQ-TV, La Taberna India and La Farandula Corona on YouTube, which helped to catapult the television station to the top of the ratings. During the 1970s and 1980s, WKAQ-TV, then branded as Telemundo Canal 2, had become a major producer of telenovelas. The station was also known for its fingers logo, a bold number 2 with the silhouette of two upright fingers inside the number, and referred to itself as El Canal de los Dedos. On April 14, 1983, Ramos sold WKAQ-TV to John Blair and Amp Co. Netspan. In 1984, the owners of WNJU in Linden, New Jersey and KSDS in San Jose, California formed Netspan, the second Spanish-language television network in the continental United States. These stations joined KVEA in Los Angeles, run by its general manager and part owner Joe Wallach, in 1985. The following year, KVEA's part owner, Reliance Group Holdings, acquired the Telemundo brand when it purchased John Blair and Amp Co., which also owned WSCV in Fort Lauderdale, Miami, West Palm Beach in addition to WKAQ-TV. In late 1986, Reliance also purchased WNJU. In 1987, Reliance Capital Group executives Saul Steinberg and Henry Silverman merged all these stations into the Telemundo Group. The new corporation quickly went public, and in 1987, Reliance decided to rebrand NetSpan as Telemundo. Later that year, it purchased additional stations in San Francisco, Houston and San Antonio. Telemundo, 1988 to 1997. Between 1988 and 1993, Telemundo acquired or affiliated with television stations in Texas, New Mexico, Arizona and Washington, D.C. In May 1992, Telemundo underwent another management change, appointing former Univision president Joaquin Blalia, who resigned from that network after discovering in an FCC filing for a Gerald Perenchio's purchase of the network from Hallmark Cards that Univision would increase its reliance on programming from Televisa and Venevision to levels that resulted in him concluding that there would be fewer opportunities for the addition of local programs on Univision's stations, and was subsequently joined by 4 of the other Univision executives to head the network. The following year, in 1993, Telemundo underwent an extensive rebranding, introducing the signature framed T-letter logo, and a promotional campaign using the slogan, Arriba Telemundo, Arriba. The network also began to produce its own original telenovelas, the first of which to premiere were Angelica, Mi Vida, Marielena, Guadalupe, Senora Tentacion and Tres Destinos. International distributors soon approached the network for the syndication rights to air these programs on television networks in other countries. Telemundo's effort faced an initial setback when Mexico's leading broadcaster, Televisa, purchased production company Capitalvision, which had been producing the telenovelas in conjunction with the network. Parent company Telemundo Group experienced major financial challenges during this time, filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in 1994, due to a debt load of more than $300 million that the company owed to its creditors. In an effort to boost its tepid ratings and quell complaints from advocacy organizations such as the National Hispanic Media Coalition that criticize both networks for not featuring content relatable to American Latinos, Telemundo outlined a new strategy to better compete against Univision by increasing production of domestically produced programs. In 1995, under the direction of Executive Vice President of Programming Harry Abraham Castillo, Telemundo opened its first network studio on the West Coast, housed at Raleigh Studios in Hollywood. The network began daily production of 3 shows on the lot that year. La Hora Lunatica, a daytime talk variety show hosted by Los Angeles radio personality Humberto Luna, comedians Mario Ramirez Reyes, El Comodon, and Hugo Armando, and producer Jackie Torres, L.Y.Ella, a daily talk show focusing on gender-related issues that was created and produced by Gigi Graciot, who co-hosted the program with Antonio Farr and Dando Y Dando, an audience and viewer participation game show hosted by Rafael Seigler. The first wave of major changes to Telemundo came on August 11, 1997, when the network revamped its prime-time schedule by cutting an hour of its prime-time telenovela lineup. Concurrently, local newscasts on the network's owned and operated and affiliate stations were moved an hour earlier to 10 o'clock p.m., placing them directly against late-evening newscasts on Fox, WB, UPN and independent stations in many markets, followed by a late-evening national newscast produced by cable news channel CBS. Telenoticias movies were also added during the 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time slot on certain weeknights to help bolster its late newscasts. On November 25, 1997, Liberty Media and Sony Pictures Entertainment purchased a majority interest in Telemundo from Reliance Capital Group for $539 million, beating out a bid made days earlier by an investment group led by Telemundo Group chairman Leon Black, who had already owned 40.3% of the network through Polo Global Management and remained a minority partner in Telemundo Group through the purchase. Under the deal, Liberty acquired a 40% interest and Sony acquired a 35% stake in Telemundo, with the remaining interest held by investment firms Apollo Global Management and Bastion Capital Fund. On November 25, 1997, several investors who held shares in Telemundo Group filed an injunction to block the sale in a Delaware Chancery court, in order to investigate whether executives were shortchanging shareholders in accepting the offer. That request, as well as a separate injunction request by Univision Communications, were later rejected. After the sale received FCC approval on July 31, 1998, Sony and Liberty formed a holding company that was operated as a 50/50 joint venture between both companies, Telemundo Communications Group, helmed by yet another management team under the leadership of former CBS Entertainment President Peter Tortorici as President and CEO and Nellie Gallan as President of Entertainment. Telemundo explored avenues to attract the bilingual market. The network then launched an image campaign using the slogan, "Lo mejor de los dos mundos," with several billboard ads being erected in cities such as Miami and San Francisco as part of the campaign, heralding a new era for Telemundo. Tortorici dramatically overhauled Telemundo's schedule in an effort to boost its viewership among American Spanish-language audiences, as its total audience share had slid from more than 40% early in the decade to less than 20% by 1998. This new era broke from the conventional Spanish-language programming model. The changes made for the 1998-99 lineup included the complete removal of telenovelas from its prime-time schedule, citing the inferior quality of the South American serial dramas that it had been acquiring compared to the Mexican serials from Televisa that were carried by Univision. The revamped evening lineup that premiered on September 28, 1998 included several new sitcoms, traditional scripted dramas and game shows with higher production values, including several scripted shows that were remakes of English-language series owned by Columbia TriStar Television, to position the network as a younger skewing alternative to Univision, more acculturated to assimilated American Latinos. Among them were Angeles, a remake of Charlie's Angels, Un Angel en la Casa, a sitcom loosely based on Who's the Boss, Solo en America, a remake of One Day at a Time. Also added to the lineup were updated Spanish-language versions of The Dating Game, The Newlywed Game and Candid Camera, and the police procedural Reyes Wire. The network's existing primetime novellas were relegated to a 3-hour block on weekday mornings, while movies were added in prime time on Tuesday and Thursday nights as part of the showcase Cinemundo, featuring dubbed versions of recent American film releases. In addition, to better take advantage of the region's pool of writers and directors, Tortorici decided to migrate Telemundo's main base of operations, transferring its programming and management divisions from Hialeah, Florida to a new facility in Santa Monica, California in December of that year, resulting in the hiring and transfer of approximately 45 employees. More than 300 other employees continued to be based at its Hialeah offices. The changes proved proved to be disastrous as Telemundo's ratings for the overhauled prime-time lineup sharply fell by 42% to an 8% audience share among Latino households against the telenovela-dominated lineup programmed by Univision in that slot. By the February 1999 sweeps period, the network was even forced to air numerous commercials for free as part of contractual make-goods to advertisers, resulting in a loss of more than $1 million in potential revenue. After Tortorici resigned from the network in July 1999, Telemundo tapped former Universal Television president Jim McNamara as its president and chief executive officer, and Alan Sokol as chief operating officer to helm its operations. The programming strategy reverted to a more traditional approach to Spanish-language television than the mainstream concept implemented by Tortorici. The new team struck a programming agreement with TV Azteca for the U.S. rights to the Mexican broadcasters' novellas and other programming, and restored a 2-hour block of telenovelas originating from Mexico, Colombia and Brazil, later expanded to 3 hours with the shift of its late local and national newscast to the traditional 11 o'clock p.m. time slot in 2000 as part of its Monday through Friday primetime slate, which resulted in the cancellation of Angeles and Reyes El Rey. Reality, entertainment and news magazine programs were also added to the schedule, while primetime movies were relegated to weekend evenings. In September 1999, Telemundo began transferring the bulk of its programming and marketing operations from its Santa Monica headquarters and consolidated all operations of the network to its offices in Hialeah. Most of the network's management staff migrated to the Hialeah facility, including McNamara, Sokol and Galan, either on a temporary or long-term basis, with most other staff being given the option of either accepting the relocation offer or resigning from the network. Some positions based at the Santa Monica facility were eliminated entirely, with around a dozen workers remaining at the West Coast office. During McNamara's tenure, Telemundo premiered shows such as Laura en America, a conflict talk show hosted by Peruvian lawyer Laura Bozzo, the telenovelas Yo Soy Betty, La Fia, starring Ana Maria Orozco, and a novella adaptation of the Brazilian comedy film Xica, starring Thais Araujo, A Oscuros Pero Entendidos, a talk show hosted by Paul Bush, game show Numeros Rojos hosted by Wilma Ramirez, and the Argentine children's program Grandaditos. It also acquired the rights to broadcast a weekly series from World Wrestling Entertainment on Saturday nights. The network also entered into a co-production agreement with Columbia TriStar International Television to produce original telenovelas for Mexican audiences. The network also launched Protagonistas, a staged, unscripted reality series that followed a group of 16 aspiring actors living together in a Miami television studio for several weeks, for the opportunity to win a role on one of the network's telenovelas. 2001 to 2009. In the summer of 2001, Sony, Liberty and Reliance announced that they would sell Telemundo Communications Group. Companies that expressed interest in acquiring the network included Viacom, the Hispanic Broadcasting Corporation, the Walt Disney Company and AOL. Time Warner. NBC subsequently entered into negotiations to acquire the network and its related properties. On October 11, 2001, NBC purchased Telemundo Communications Group from Sony and Liberty Media for $1.98 billion and the assumption of $700 million in debt, in an equal cash and stock split by NBC parent General Electric. Upon the announcement, many media industry experts thought that NBC overpaid for Telemundo, given the network's low Hispanic audience reach. Jim McNamara and Alan Sokol remained at the helm of the network after the acquisition was finalized on April 12, 2002. Under NBC, Telemundo brought greater emphasis to original programming and product placement, while the network's owned and operated stations in larger markets began producing their own early morning newscasts in an effort to become more competitive in the respective markets. The Telemundo T logo also received an overhaul, replacing the sphere with a curved outline which similarly represented a globe. Telemundo's main competitor, Univision, continued to beat the network in the ratings, although not in all time periods. In 2004, Telemundo Communications Group formed Telemundo Television Studios in Miami, as part of its expansion of original programming through the acquisition of RTI Colombia's interest in the joint venture Telemundo RTI, subsequently signing an agreement to acquire the operational assets of its international distributor, Tepui International. The network spent $100 million per year on programming producing during the mid-2000s. After the NBCUniversal merger, Telemundo ceased importing telenovelas from Latin America and started producing its own dramas, either independently or through co-production arrangements with other production companies. To that end, Telemundo partnered with Colombian-based producer RTI Colombia and Mexican production company Argos Communication, in an effort for its telenovelas, which follow the Mexican model, to be recognized by U.S. and Latin American audiences. Telemundo hired well-known actors and actresses from Mexico, Colombia, Venezuela, Argentina and Puerto Rico to star in its dramas. Over time, Telemundo also began to hire American-born Hispanic actors and actresses who are fluent Spanish speakers. In 2005, McNamara retired as CEO of the network. He was replaced by Don Brown, who had previously served as president and general manager of NBC's Miami O&M OWTVJ. In March 2007, NBCUniversal announced that it would restructure Telemundo's entertainment division in an effort to narrow Univision's ratings dominance. The company also announced its intention to sell the original Telemundo station in Puerto Rico, WKAQ-TV, and Spanish independent station KWHY in Los Angeles in order to help finance its acquisition of Oxygen Media. On December 21, 2007, NBCUniversal announced that it would no longer seek a buyer for WKAQ-TV, indicating that Telemundo Puerto Rico would remain within the NBC corporate umbrella. 2011 present. In 2010, Comcast announced that it would acquire a 51% majority stake in NBCUniversal for $6.5 billion. The deal was completed on January 28, 2011, with Comcast acquiring control of Telemundo as part of the deal. In October 2011, Emilio Romano was appointed as president of Telemundo, a role he would handle until his abrupt resignation from the network in October 2013. On May 14, 2012, Telemundo announced that it would launch a new branding campaign that would include the debut of a new slogan and on-air identity, including the replacement of its framed T logo with a new logo featuring two partial red spheres forming the T, described to capture the duality of Telemundo's audience, balancing the strong connection to the Latin roots with the contemporary mindset of living in the U.S. The new logo and graphics package debuted on air on December 8 of that year. Telemundo achieved ratings success during 2012 with the telenovela series Rosa Diamante and the Caracol TV-produced Pablo Escobar. That year, Telemundo debuted the social novela Secretiando on Facebook, with comments made on other social media websites. During the 2000s, Univision also lost several key on-air personalities to Telemundo, including longtime weekend news anchor Maria Antonietta Collins, Prima Impacto anchor Maria Celeste Raras, and sports announcers Andre Cantor and Norberto Longo. By the middle of the decade, Univision overtook UPN and the WB, which shut down in September 2006 and were replaced by the CW, which Univision also outranks as the fifth highest-rated network in total viewership since then. It also sometimes posts higher viewership in the key age demographics of adults 18 to 34 and adults 18 to 49. Other key on-air personalities that joined Telemundo from Univision are Televisa in the 2000s are Lucero, Pedro Fernandez, Kate del Castillo, Araceli Arambula, Raul Gonzalez, Blanca Soto, Laura Flores, Ana Maria Canseco, Cristina Saralegui. Continuing the momentum in 2013 were telenovelas La Patrona and El Señor de los Cielos, and the musical competition series Live Z Kids, hosted by Daisy Fuentes and George Bernal, featuring musical coaches Paulina Rubio, Prince Royce and Roberto Tapia. With the debut of El Señor de los Cielos that spring, Telemundo also launched the Super Series format, a slate of action-oriented telenovelas, which usually aired during the final hour of the network's primetime novella block, designed as a reinvention of the genre using the multiple-season continuity model common with English-language drama series, shorter episode runs and the incorporation of storylines more relatable to American audiences. These programs helped Telemundo decrease its ratings gap in the key demographic of adults 18 to 49, decreasing the gap between the two networks by 54% between 2010 and 2015, with Telemundo even beating Univision 4 times during the 2014-2015 television season on nights when the former aired sports events and specials. The network also narrowed the ratings differentials with Univision in total prime-time viewership from a gap of 1.2 million viewers in July 2013 to 238,000 in July 2015. Telemundo also began improving its ratings during the 10 o'clock p.m. hour following its transition from traditional novellas to the Super Series format, with El Señor de los Cielos posting some of the network's highest viewership for an entertainment program, when its second season finale in 2014 drew 3.2 million total viewers. On May 13, 2014, during the network's 2014-15 upfront presentation at Frederick P. Rose Hall in New York City, Luis Silberwasser was named president of Telemundo Network, LLC, maintaining overall responsibilities for the Telemundo Network and production division Telemundo Studios. On July 21, 2015, Telemundo beat Univision for the first time in a singular night demographic, averaging 969,000 viewers and a 76 rating in the demographic. El Señor de los Cielos 3 also beat the Televisa-produced novela Yo no creo en los hombres on Univision in the demographic during the 10 o'clock p.m. hour, with a 1.4 rating, and was the most watched television program among adults 18 to 49 during the hour that evening. For the week of July 20 to 24, Telemundo came within 40,000 viewers of beating Univision in prime-time viewership. Overall, the network ended the 2014-15 season posting its highest average total prime-time viewership against Univision with 1.46 m, a 23% increase in total viewership yearly, compared to Univision's 2.2 129 m and decrease of 21% yearly.